Sorry about that. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys
Well,
and girls, hockey fans, and other sports fans of all ages. To the Political Deep Dive. I'm Dave
they
Valente.
don't play.
What's that?
I'm Dan Fishman, and they don't play hockey in the Summer Olympics.
They should. I was thinking about this. It's the problem is we're not going to move it because it's the premier sport of one of the premier sports of the Winter
Right,
Olympics.
right. The
But
gold medal game is traditionally the end of the Winter Olympics.
like one of the most, especially when it's played over here or in one of the Nordic countries or Russia, it's one of the most watched events. But as far as the NHL calendar, the professional calendar, it would make much more sense for it to be part of the summer games.
Oh, right,
Um,
right.
so you
It
wouldn't
is
have to take like 2 weeks off during the middle of the season. That's always been the concern. You lose a player, and
right, exactly.
professional
Some
team loses a
players,
mess,
right,
player in the middle of the season and everything.
right. The NHL used to not send some players
Yeah,
because of injury fears and stuff like that, which of
yeah.
course is ridiculous. But it's it it would be nice, and obviously there's no reason now to have hockey in the winter because there's plenty of indoor skating rinks and stuff like that. But
Exactly. I mean, they
maybe
can
they should
put
have hockey every 2 years.
they play every Olympic. Every Olympic they have like that. I'd love that.
Exactly.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Beach hockey.
Hey, Craig, we're hoping that AJ makes it on right now. There's some weather issues and
Yeah.
internet issues, stuff going on in Denver right now.
We
But
miss you, AJ.
our
We
fingers
miss you,
are
AJ.
crossed that she gets in here soon.
Yep. Absolutely. Um, so
How's your
yeah,
week been?
we had another busy week this week with political announcements. Of course, the Olympics. What were your favorite moments of the Olympics, Dan?
I loved seeing the U.S. women in almost
I love
every
the
sport.
women.
Like the bronze medal game in rugby sevens was
Oh
just
yeah,
spectacular.
that
Uh,
finish was amazing.
it was just unbelievable. And I don't know the name of the woman, but like they cut to her on the side, blonde hair, and you could just see her mouthing, "Shut up, shut up." It
Yeah.
was awesome. And then to watch the women win in soccer was fantastic.
Of course.
Men in basketball, I enjoyed that tremendously. Men and women in track and field, those are great. Disappointed to see the U.S. men lose the 4x100 again. I think we haven't won it since 1992,
Yeah.
which is crazy. Uh, and what else did I like? That was about it. I watched the gold medal water polo game. um, the women's relay was amazing. That
Yeah.
4x100 with Gabby Thomas and Shakari Richardson. That was fantastic. 4x400 was good. Seeing what's her name, Uke Boll, the Norwegian woman,
Yeah.
Netherlands woman, and then the Netherlands woman who won the 5,000 meter, 10,000 meter, and marathon. She's
That's
only
a
the
lot of
second.
running.
It's an unbelievable amount. When I saw an interview with her, and she's like, through the entire marathon, I kept thinking to myself, how stupid am I to have run these other two races? Because I'm dying here. And for people who don't know, Paris Marathon is the marathon this marathon has more vertical change than almost any other marathon, any other major marathon, and some very steep grades. There's a 13-degree grade, which is just, brutal. So I enjoyed watching that. Surprising women's win in the cycling.
Uh,
Go
the
ahead.
cycling has my last name. Jennifer Valente won
Yes.
won the Omni something
Right.
the race. So she got one of the gold medals today.
Right. Well,
So Jennifer Valente, I was like, oh wow! And I researched her, and she's actually been winning gold medals the last couple of Olympics. So
right, but she was a surprise winner here. They didn't think she was going to win, but she pulled it out. And of course, Valente in Italian means runs with scissors. So
that's the truth. Yeah.
Let's see what else.
Questionable decisions.
I have mixed feelings about the women's basketball team. We know they didn't send their best. because they got beaten pretty handily by the best team at the All-Star game.
Yeah, that was an interesting decision, but
Yeah. On
you
the other
know,
hand, they pulled it out. I mean, it would have
they
been.
won.
I have to admit that a little bit of me was hoping that they lost, because then it would be a much bigger scandal. But they pulled it out
Yeah,
and they won. So, and then the last thing about it was I was disappointed that we didn't end up with more gold medals than any other country. The Chinese got one. Oh, and let's talk a little bit about this thing with the woman who just lost the bronze medal through challenge, Jennifer
yes,
Stiles.
Charles.
Giles. That's some bullshit.
4 seconds. Four fucking seconds.
Well, and it's 4 seconds in that you have a minute to appeal.
Yeah.
Okay. And the thing is that the math is relatively complicated, because what happened was she had a degree of difficulty, which is used as a multiplier to the score. And so,
how do you do that math in that shorter time to understand that they missed this?
Exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that in the end, the appeal will be reversed. The appeal will be reversed, and both women will be awarded the bronze.
Probably. Yeah.
That's the easiest thing to do.
The hard thing though is that I think where it's going to get a little bit complicated is that she went from third, not to fourth, but to fifth with her score. So there, she's going to end up leapfrogging back over the fifth place person or the fourth place.
Currently fourth person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which would be difficult. I guess you're in that fourth place position.
You know what?
Rather salty.
We live in a participation trophy world anyway.
Give them all bronzes.
Give them all bronze medal. Everybody who doesn't win the gold or silver
gets a bronze.
Well,
they do give multiple bronzes for things like, I think boxing. You don't have a bronze medal match. You get into the medal rounds and then the semifinal. And if you lose the semifinal, they don't make you fight.
They both get bronze. Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, they do, obviously soccer and other things.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the sports I didn't watch any of. I didn't watch any tennis. I didn't watch any golf.
No.
I watched one crew, one rowing. I didn't watch any archery. I didn't watch any shooting.
I watched a little bit of shooting.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I don't know. Stuff like
Although,
that.
I mean, there is a point. I think I've got a theory on this when it comes to shooting is that, the United States didn't win any medals at all.
Yeah.
For a gun-happy country, kind of insulting. But I think, if you come from a country
that's
where
because they don't allow you to shoot like this. They let us shoot like this.
There's no Olympic drive. Well, we're in Los Angeles in 4 years.
Oh, that would be awesome. That's what they should do. Exactly kind of like the biathlon. The biathlon, you have to ski and then shoot something. Here, you should just have to shoot while you're driving your car.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, if you come from a country that restricts gun access, and I'm sure that ammo is a lot more expensive, you're a lot more focusing on the shot. United States, it's pretty wide open. Yes, ammo is still expensive, but precision shooting, and that's I'll just reload another bullet. So
yeah, Ken's thing. I didn't watch any of the equestrian events too, but I did hear about Charlotte Dujardin, who is alleged to have abused her horse on video.
That's some bullshit
and
there.
It's very interesting because there's an interesting concept in terms of those events and animals being involved and how we treat animals now and how we used to treat animals, stuff like that. I know many people who have strong working relationships with animals.
Yeah.
And I do believe that horse racing can be done very ethically.
Yep.
And whatever the hell dressage is can be done ethically as well. But, clearly, if you're abusing an animal, I am much more inclined towards violence towards a person who abuses an animal than I am to, somebody who stole something from me.
Exactly.
It's insane. And I do really actually think that it's indicative of, it's a telltale sign of
Although I
violence
hear
towards humans.
I hear a Texas guy got arrested at the Paris Games for basically javelin tossing a pickpocket at one of the venues downstairs
Interesting.
and injuring him. The guy got arrested, bailed him, was able to make bail and bolt back across the pond. But yeah, there is definitely a pickpocketing, and it's a large event with fairly affluent tourists.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
going to be a target.
Well, and I don't know if you ever saw Eurotrip.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, with the satchel, the strap-on thing that he wears to keep his money and everything like that.
yeah.
Fromer says that if you wear but yeah, I mean, it's a great place for practice to go. It's interesting. That's the other thing that I like about the Olympics. I've never been to an Olympics either, and it's
I have
sort of on
not.
my bucket list. Uh,
Los Angeles would be fun. I mean,
LA, yeah. Well, I was rewatching 30 Rock, and there's a thing where they're having a meeting of all the NBC affiliates, and the East Coast, they're say, well, we're in New York, which Jack Donaghy's talking. He's like, which I know, they like to think is the greatest city in the world, but for me, of course, it's Boston. You got Boston cream pie, and the Boston Tea Party, and all those. Dope. He's like, Lemon, did you just throw a battery at me? She's like, Philly rules. Philly's the best. and
the Olympics in Philadelphia would be awesome.
and then the people from LA are like, LA is a great city too. And all the East Coast people just start laughing. So, yeah, I don't know. I like to go to Olympics. I've been to a Super Bowl. I've been to a World Series. I haven't been to an NCAA. I've been to an NCAA. I haven't been to an NBA. I don't really have much desire to go to the NBA either. But I have been to a Stanley Cup too.
I've been to the Stanley Cup playoffs, St. Louis and in DC. It's gotten to the point where yeah, I want the experience, but I just don't want to spend that much for it.
Right.
But
it's all relative, Dave. I mean, you're 10 years away from retirement, right?
That's true.
So, I mean, why not look at that and at least think, well, maybe that's a good thing to go to. I mean, especially, go to a less than popular team.
Buffalo.
Right, exactly. Well, unfortunately, they're gonna have to hook you up for that to happen, and so I don't think.
Yeah, I know that's
But yeah, we went to the Blackhawks Bruins, and my wife is a Blackhawks fan. We went in Chicago. But
your marriage survived that, huh?
Yeah, that part wasn't bad. What was interesting about it was it's lucky that it was Game 5 of that series, and Chicago won. The fans couldn't have been nicer to me. Like, I went to go buy beers. Midwest people brought me beer all the time. They're like, "We're so glad you came." And
That's
what
awesome.
was interesting about it too is that they were so high on their team at that time because this was like the second one for that group of guys, and they're like, "Well, we think we're going to win 10, but in order to be considered a great team, we have to have a great rival." And we thought it was going to be Pittsburgh, but you guys swept Pittsburgh 4-0 in the playoffs, and so we're like, well, Boston is a great team, and that was a great Boston team.
It's surprising that Boston didn't win more with that team. I don't know that they can recapture the magic. I think they're still a great team. I just don't know that they can recapture the magic to get back to the promised land.
No, well, I mean, almost nobody's left from that team anymore.
Yeah, it's just Marchand.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
Enough about sports.
We also had big news in the world of politics where Kamala Harris finally picks her vice presidential candidate, and it is Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. I called him mayonnaise when he was selected. He's kind of like everyone's dad. type
They picked
deal.
the oldest, straightest white guy the Democratic Party has left
Yeah,
who can still count to 10. I'm
sure.
eliminating Jimmy Carter and Joe Biden from that list. But it
Yeah,
was but then the thing is that there is a little bit of controversy about him. So let's talk about the fact 95% of the bullshit about his military record is bullshit.
that's bullshit. Yeah,
It's bullshit. But he did say
carrying in combat.
the weapons that I carried to war.
Yeah, in war.
And he did not go to war. He's never been in a situation where he fired a weapon in anger, where somebody was shooting at him, stuff like that. I don't consider this
he
a
did come
major.
back and I mean, let's just say if Donald Trump or somebody had said Donald Trump had
Oh,
said that,
yeah.
you know,
If
he
Captain Bonespur had said
yeah.
something like that.
Well, no, there would have been like later that afternoon. There would have been pictures of him dressed as Rambo, gunning down a village of Vietnamese. Like that.
Yeah.
That would have been
Oh
what
yeah.
the reaction was.
There would have been
And he would
fan
have
art.
doubled and tripled down on it. At least there is enough humility that they admitted there was a mistake there, and I'm glad that they did. That's kind of refreshing when it
Well,
comes from
now
Trump.
is that true? Have they come out and said,
Yeah,
he never went to war? Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's good. I hadn't heard that, so that's fine. Yeah. I don't really care about the DUI 30 years ago. First of all, he and I are close to the same age. 30 years. Ken, yeah, he's admitted it. He's never been anywhere near a front. The closest he's been to action was a deployment to Italy.
I mean, that's dangerous.
I mean, those pastries and pasta.
Those women.
Right?
Those
a
women.
moment on the lips. Exactly. A lifetime on the lips. But
I think
if he had just changed the thing, and obviously I don't even agree with what he said, but if he had said, those weapons of war, like the ones that I was trained to use in the Army, the ones that I carried on a post when I was, doing protective details, something like that. If he said it like that, that would have been fine. Yeah. So Ken, he did 4 years in infantry before transferring to combat artillery.
Yeah.
So his time as a private was spent in the infantry, which means he carried a rifle at one point in time.
Sure.
And I say that as somebody who knows absolutely nothing about the infantry, but people who tell me that, they say, yes, that's what you did. And my dad, honorably discharged as a captain in 1961. My dad insists that he must have his marksman medal as well. He's like, you just do. But, and those are the things to say. So you qualify on weapons, stuff like that. I'm glad that he has come out and said something like, I didn't go to war. I misspoke. I was using it as something like that. Now, the other thing about it, though, is that couch story is also completely bullshit.
Oh, yeah, it is. I think with the couch story, it came out, as a goof. Somebody just put it out there, and it just got a life of its own because it's incredibly memeable. Like, yeah. And everything's memeable because there's another story that came out about walls with horses and semen and
right. Well, because that one is ridiculous as well. And so now, I mean, what's interesting about it is here's my next software project. Okay. There's I can't remember what it's called, but it is a project where it's a software project where women can look up men by name and see if anybody they know or anybody has anything to say about dating this guy. And it's just sort of a history of the person.
Almost like a slam book, online slam book.
Kind of like an online slam book. I want one like that, but I want to know, like, for example, I have a couple friends who have been repeating the horse semen thing. I want to always remember that about them, that they repeated that. I want to know that they are that kind of asshole, that special kind of asshole.
I mean, yeah and no. Like, I get people are putting stuff out. I mean,
I want like
I've shared enough couch memes. I've shared enough couch memes the last few weeks. I know it's BS, and if somebody says, "Hey, that's BS," yeah, absolutely, it's BS. It's the memes are also hilarious as hell. Almost the horse semen thing seems like well, you made fun of us for the couch story. We're going to come up with something equally as ridiculous to come back at you
It's
as.
so malicious.
Yeah.
It just, yeah, and then right, the Photoshop pictures. It's insane.
George W. had a DWI that came out like that
George
was
W.
the
was arrested with cocaine.
yeah. I mean he was but that came out like I want to say the weekend before the 2000 election, maybe the week and a half before the 2000 election, and I think it did tighten up that election. That it came out that late. It was before we really started embracing early voting as much as we have, but right now you're going to have your October surprises in September now, just to make an impact on the elections. But
because voting starts, right? Voting
yeah,
starts next week.
It's not voting day now. It's voting season. You have
right.
a long period of time that you have to
right.
that you're seeing people early voting. If you're going to drop a news story that you're holding, you're going to have to drop it a lot earlier for it to impact elections.
Yeah.
I don't know that, like if the Hillary, the Comey thing happened in 2020, I don't know that it would have as big an impact as it did in 2016.
Well, what's interesting about that is that we seem to have something similar right now with the Republican emails.
Yeah. That's another.
Now, I personally don't believe that at all. I think that it's complete false flag, and that the Trump campaign hacked themselves and are releasing whatever the hell they want to, because it makes them more sympathetic. There's nothing that's come out that's particularly damning or anything like that. So we'll see. And I find it hard to believe, but I guess I should go with P.T. Barnum on this, right? What's the P.T. Barnum quote? Nobody ever got...
thought it was a sucker born every minute.
A sucker born every minute. Right. You can't, you can always make money, or what is it? Don't underestimate the stupidity of the average person. Something like that about making money. But
yeah.
So I can't imagine how somebody's email would be vulnerable, but obviously it still happens. So
somebody said it was spear phishing.
Yeah, it was spear phishing again. Same thing that supposedly happened to I'm trying to remember who it was in the Hillary team.
Was it?
But Lou, no, it wasn't. I can't remember who it was. Somebody senior in the team.
Donna Brazil, somebody like that.
No, it wasn't Donna Brazil. Hillary emails spear phishing. Podesta, John.
Oh, Leon Podesta. That's right.
Yeah. So it's an interesting point. I have a feeling though that I don't think anything good's going to come. Anything like good secret. Supposedly, the videos of the 2025 project are in there, but
interesting. Yeah, I think, and this kind of leads to our topic this week that it's been a wild ride the last few weeks. Like we, just think where we were at 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, Biden was still in the race. Trump had
Biden was in the race. Trump had just got shot. People were essentially declaring the race over at that point. That Trump was gonna win. He was gonna get all the sympathy out of this.
Although I will say that I posted immediately what the Democrats need to do. I think I said it on the air. Is what the Democrats need to do is to pull Biden right after the RNC. Steal the thunder with this giant news story, and it's worked perfectly.
It has worked perfectly. And not only that, but 3 weeks ago, that was before JD Vance is picked. So JD Vance gets the nomination for vice president. Very kind of a flat. He was picked more for his loyalty. I think, back in 2016, Trump picked Mike Pence to bring in the evangelical vote, a group that was still somewhat distrustful of Trump with his colorful past. Getting Pence on board brought the evangelical vote to Trump, and solidified that base for the Republicans. So J.D. Vance really doesn't bring a whole lot except for he's young.
Right.
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
they
I think
think that
Ohio was going to go Trump anyway, so it didn't bring him a
I
state or
think he
anything.
appeals to rural voters. To bring back the 30 Rock thing, the rural juror. Um, but he really doesn't because he went to Yale and he's
That's true,
he's
Ken.
a U.S. senator at 39 years old. Right?
Yeah, I mean he's accomplished. Like I'm not going to argue that he's not an accomplished. I mean he's written a
Oh, for
book,
sure.
which
Wrote a
he
book
probably
which
doesn't want to
became a
come
movie.
campaign here in West Virginia.
Yeah.
He could speak to rural Americans, but the problem with JD Vance is that I think he denigrated the people that he's supposed to speak to. Like the hillbilly elegy was an insult to anybody in Appalachian America.
Well, I mean, in that space, I think about what Bob Newhart said in this space, right? Bob Newhart said, he's like, I don't particularly
Rip
care
Bob
for country,
Newhart, by the way.
huh?
Rip Bob Newhart.
Yeah, R.P. Bob Newhart, just a wonderful comedian. But
Yeah.
he made this great statement that is pertinent to what we're saying now. He said, it's like, I'm not a fan of country music. He's like, but I don't want to denigrate the fans of country music.
Yeah.
And to the people who are fans of country music, denigrate means to put down.
Yeah, exactly. But I think from a tactical perspective, I think Kamala Harris actually did real well in picking Tim Walz as the vice presidential candidate, as someone who is in that rural mold.
Yeah, it is.
That is articulate and has not insulted the
Yeah,
people he's trying to speak to.
And I think it's an interesting thing. I've seen about this. The fact that this stuff didn't come out before, because I do think that it's sort of a big deal with the I claimed that I went to war and I didn't.
Yeah,
it's not crushingly bad,
no.
but the reason that it didn't come out before is that when you run in a one-party state, you're not actually tested by opposition research. Now, I know he ran against a Republican when he got elected to the House in 2005, but it's a small little House race. They thought it was a safe thing. Hard to criticize him then because he just left the Guard.
Yeah.
So there is something to be said for somebody who actually has had a lot of opposition research against them. On the other hand, it's pretty clear. I don't know how clear it is, but Shapiro, who I think was the other really strong choice.
Yeah.
I'll say it. It's just realistic. You can't have that many Jewish people in the administration. It's going to be a problem. And with Harris's husband being Jewish.
Yeah, I think there's definitely the idea that I think had they been free to pick who they wanted to pick, they would have picked Shapiro.
Right.
Just because of the Pennsylvania thing. I think Walz was a safe pick. He's got that kind of granddad thing going on.
Yeah.
He
which is crazy because he's only 6 months older than Kamala.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah, but going back to Trump's time right now, we're not only seeing the hack stuff, but he gets up and does a press conference in Mar-a-Lago and absolutely just shits the bed. Like it's rambling, incoherent. And now the questions are starting to come out is Trump really starting to have a real one? Like is he fully there?
Yeah.
Is somebody in the Trump campaign throwing this? Like there are lots of questions going on with the Trump campaign now because it's just been the reversal of fortune. It shouldn't have come just from the fact that The Democrats had put Kamala up on stage, and that okay, now everything's going the other way.
But
Trump has helped himself, hurt himself in that he just can't help himself to have a normal day and not say dumb shit like what he said at the National Association of Black Journalists.
There is some of that, but you know what it is as we talk about this investing a lot, there's this idea of resistance. And you see it happen with a stock that should be doing much better than it is, but sometimes it's a numerical resistance. And I'll give you an example from my own personal history. I invested in AMD when I read their white paper in I don't know.
You're right, Kim.
2013. And I was lucky and I got in at 4 and it went up to 10, but we were sure, my friend and I who talked about it, were like, they're going to 20. And then they just stuck at 10 and stuck at 10. And there was resistance until when it finally punched through that resistance, it went up to 100 because it had all the things. There was such resistance to Biden that once that was artificially making Trump seem better than he was.
Yeah.
But now once they got Biden out of the way, you think of the last reasonable candidates that the Democrats have had, right? Obama, and now not Marla Maples, Pamela Harris, Kamala Harris. Those guys are crushing it.
Oh yeah.
Any reasonable candidate, and obviously Hillary, right? Hillary should have been a better candidate, but she wasn't. And Democrats, wake up. Your party still has a lot of misogyny in it. And America as well.
Yep.
Yeah. But Hillary wasn't a great candidate. She had so many problems. Trump has never run against anybody good on the Democratic side until now.
Yeah. And he was dealt into the game with the Republicans back in 2016. He was just kind of kept there because the media, the people on the left wanted him to stay in there because they thought it was a slam dunk.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they were right, or at least I thought they were right at the time. I mean, clearly they weren't.
Yeah.
But even on election day, we thought.
Oh no, yeah, I remember going to the bar in Arlington, Virginia, and going, well. We'll have to suffer through 4 years of Hillary and see how this goes. And then, Trump pulls it out.
There's an amazing Saturday Night Live sketch with Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle. And they're at a Hillary Clinton victory party. And Chappelle's sitting there and he's like, oh my God, can you imagine if they elected Trump? That would be the worst thing this country's ever done. And Chappelle says, oh, really? The worst thing this country's ever done. And she's like, and then the other one's like, I just can't imagine that anybody in America is that stupid. And he's like, well, Americans can be pretty stupid. It's a wonderful piece. People who haven't seen that, we'll put a link into the chat afterwards.
But yeah, I think the with Trump, what we've seen is that we actually have and Dan and I here, and I know a lot of the people watching tonight are not exactly fans of Kamala. We have very distinct policy differences with her campaign. I will say it's kind of refreshing to hear Democrats talk about freedom. Welcome back, I guess, or welcome to the conversation. But I don't trust that they're going to do anything significant with the topic. It's just nice to hear somebody say something about that.
No, I mean the worst thing that could happen to the country. The worst thing that could happen to the country is Trump wins. The second worst thing that could happen is that the Democrats win all three branches. Well, they're not going to the House, the Senate, and the presidency.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, but it's not out of the realm of possibility.
No, I mean, we're thinking about the last 3 weeks of this campaign and the seismic shift that has happened in just 3 weeks. And and nothing's guaranteed at this point. We still have the Democratic convention to go through. And
right, exactly.
Could give her a massive boost, but if they start running out the crazies talking about taxing the rich and all that stuff, we're not going to see they're going to hamstring themselves coming out of the convention.
Well, it's going to be very interesting too, because I mean, there is that side of it, right? The really radical progressives
Yeah,
could
if you see the squad on
pull
there
up.
every night, that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. The squad. Well, and it's interesting because a lot of the squad people have lost now. Well, two, right? Cori
Two have
Bush
lost, yeah.
and I can't remember the other person's name. But it's interesting because there is sort of a rejection of that. Now, nobody's trying to take out Tlaib or Oman. You know, they
No.
are solidly
Uh,
popular in their district.
I think Omar's got an opponent, but I don't know if they'll be enough.
Yeah, I mean,
in that
there's no money being spent there
Yeah.
by the people who spent money to defeat the other ones.
I mean, I think the question does become: let's say that the Democratic convention goes swimmingly, lots of positive press. The squad doesn't do a lot of stuff. You don't.
Right.
I do think that there's going to be some anti-Semitic things going on.
Oh, sure.
In the streets of Chicago, and why the Democrats keep going back to Chicago for their conventions. Like, stop that. That's just, that's just not a good idea.
There's an excellent special on YouTube from PBS, but everybody can watch it on YouTube. Chicago's hosted 36 conventions, and 25 conventions in which the nominee went on to become president. And it's an astonishing thing. And the reason why, of course, is Chicago's easy to get to for everybody.
Yeah.
It's in the center of the country.
Yeah.
You could start doing Denver, but Denver's a 4-hour flight for the East Coast.
Yeah, Denver's a hard one. I mean, I would, St. Louis or Kansas City would make sense. Again, Midwest, center of the country. The Republicans did Milwaukee, which is a little north. But not too far from Chicago. They're actually pretty close to one another.
Now, the other thing that I think is interesting is that there's a couple things the Democrats really have to worry about. They have to worry about complacency. They have to worry about seeming too far ahead. And that has a threat in a couple different ways. One, some Democrats might vote for Kennedy because they're like, oh, it doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. And I want to vote third party. It's cute. On the other hand, what I think is actually going to happen is that as the race gets closer and gets tighter, not necessarily in terms of numbers, but tighter in terms of tension, Kennedy's going to drop more poll numbers, and those people are almost certainly going with Harris.
I do think that Kennedy will drop at some point in the fall. I think he'll drop in exchange for a promised position within the Trump administration for an endorsement.
Let's talk about Ken's point here real quick. Presidential candidates must visit every state in the nation.
Well, one that has.
But the only one who has, of course, is Chase Oliver. However, why would I'm trying to think what's the reddest state in the union right now?
Well, Trump just went to Montana.
Right. Trump went to Montana, which is solidly red. But
I think it was more for the Senate race, but I do think that
But why would Trump campaign in Massachusetts? There's just no point in doing it. Why would Trump spend money?
Why would Hillary campaign in Wisconsin?
Right. She didn't. That's an excellent point. Gary Johnson went to Wisconsin and got more than the margin of votes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But let me kind of wrap the point of what I was saying is, let's say she comes out like gangbusters out of the convention. Nothing, really, no real bad news cycles coming out of the convention. She gets let's say a standard bounce of like 5%. What impact? Because right now I think that the way it's looking, if all things being equal and things just continue on its pace, I think that I think Harris does pull out the victory. And I do think that because of the nature of the closeness of the race, I think that she could pull the House with her.
I
But the
agree.
Senate is a very, I mean, there are tons of seats that the Democrats have to defend. They are going to lose the West Virginia seat, which is a travesty because we've got this guy.
Yeah. Where's that soundbite?
Yeah, that is West Virginia Governor Jim Justice. He's going to win the seat. There's lots of stories about Justice right now with Greenbrier Resort being auctioned off. But he should win the state or win the Senate seat pretty handily. That his opponent isn't spending a whole lot of money. And there are two other seats that the Republicans are very competitive in Ohio, and I
I mean,
want to say one of the northern tier states that they're competitive in, and they should be able to take the Senate. So not the worst thing for us, because
I
then
don't
you
want
have
to see it
divided
out.
government.
Exactly. But it's interesting because the numbers are pretty. I don't know. Right, I'm looking at right now on Cook Political, which is my favorite sort of slider on where they think it's going to be.
Yeah.
West Virginia, 100% is going to go Republican. Cruz is going to win in Texas. Scott's going to win in Florida.
Unfortunately,
Missouri, Mississippi, Tennessee. Yeah, I guess
the problem for the Democrats is that they had way more seats to defend this time than the next few cycles.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's interesting because I don't think there is. There's only 11 seats there, but they're all solid, right?
Yeah.
Florida, Texas. I don't know who's running in Indiana, but the Republican's going to win.
Oh yeah.
Who's running against Ted Cruz this time? It's not Beto.
It's Cruz.
Colin Allred. Colin Allred. Dude, if you're running as a Democrat, your name should not be Allred. I'm just saying.
U.S. Rep Colin Allred. Oh, he's a former NFL player who broke with his party over the handling of the border. So
interesting.
Huh.
I mean, you got to have somebody like that.
Yeah.
I just read his
swimming against the stream.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't seem like an inspirational guy. I mean, Beto wasn't bad. The woman I really liked was Kathy Davis, but she didn't come back and run a second time. So
no.
Well, I think that it's nice that he is an elected member of the House, and he won in a battleground district. Ted Cruz has certainly been there for a long time.
Ted Cruz is beatable.
He is beatable.
Because I don't think even a lot of Republicans really like him.
Right.
Let's say this does go off the rails for Trump, and by the time we get to November, it's pretty clear that Trump's going to lose.
Right.
You were talking about complacency, but getting to the point towards the end of an election where your candidate is very likely to lose. A lot of these guys who are so focused on the presidential election may not show up to the ballot box for those down ballot races.
Right, exactly.
And may cause coattails for Harris, where you might see an upset or two that allows the Democrats to keep the Senate with a Walz serving as the president of the Senate, or serving as vice president,
right,
and able to break ties.
Right.
Yeah, there's
it's interesting because it seems like the Democratic seat is the one that's going to flip for sure.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know anybody who's talking about a flip seat. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if the Dems put a lot of money into Texas, because the cities are all blue in Texas.
Yeah.
And you're talking three of the top 10 biggest cities in the United States. And Austin's blue too.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see if they could really turn out the vote in the cities. They could win.
Yeah.
But,
the complacency, that's all gets down to get out the vote efforts. You know, they're going to have to kind of get that whole Obama magic back to really drive people to the polls, because they've just, the last few cycles, you know, were able to get enough people to the polls in 2020 to win the presidency, but really kind of faltered since then. And we'll see how their get out the vote effort is with the Democrats and the Republicans too, especially if Trump really begins to falter down the stretch. Do you think there's a chance that Trump gets replaced?
No.
You know, I've seen what replacing candidates has done for others. I want that in my life.
No,
Deal for
the only
Republicans.
way I think it happens is if there's some major medical failing,
incapacitation.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't think so.
And you're not going to get a situation like this where I think it becomes quick that Vance becomes the.
Let me ask you this: if it's a 2012 or 2008 Obama-sized victory, 330, something like that, does that end the MAGA movement? The Republicans wake up and say, "It's gone. We can't do it anymore," because
it's going to be a faction within their party. It just as much the Squad is the faction within the Democratic Party, just as much the Tea Party was a faction within the Republican Party, continuing that.
Yeah.
Beyond the election, that is just going to be something that they're going to have to negotiate with going forward.
And I mean, but I don't. It's not like the Squad has a lot of power, right? I mean,
they will if the Democrats take the House. And by just like with the Liberty Caucus having that power.
But the Squad, I mean, the Squad was 5 members of the House, right? And they were actually denied committee seats last time by Pelosi. I don't see that changing.
Honestly, if you're that's almost the wrong way to go, I think. You bog them down with committee seats. You make them sit in committees all damn day. They'll do stupid shit.
Yeah,
that's what I would do. You're on the fucking fisheries committee, okay?
Right, exactly. You're on the bathroom committee.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I think that. I mean, the other thing about it though is that you don't want them. I don't know. I do kind of think that AOC is probably not going to stay much longer.
What's more lucrative, though?
For her? Oh, she could go make $1 million. I
mean, MSNBC or something like that.
Exactly. I mean, for sure, she's making millions of dollars now. But remember that when she started, she didn't have enough money to pay for her apartment.
Yeah, she was a bartender, and all of a sudden you win your congressional seat, and you have to have a place in New York City and Washington D.C., 2 of the most expensive cities to live in.
Right, and the salary for a congressman is, I don't know what it is now, but in 2012 when I ran, it was $181,000.
Yeah,
it's not terrible, right? I don't want to sound like an asshole and say it's not money, but to maintain 2 houses, have to travel back and forth, dry cleaning, clothes, all that sort of stuff, it becomes pretty darn expensive.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah. And frankly, dry cleaning, it's one of those things that it's very gender biased too. Women pay so much more for dry cleaning.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So all that being said, I think that, I think you're right. I think that Republicans will retain the Senate. Democrats will win the House and the presidency, and hopefully we'll go back to what it was like when Obama was in power after 2010, right?
Yeah, after not so much the Obamacare, which was just a big sloppy wet kiss to the insurance industry. I hope we don't get that.
Yeah,
that's the danger with having Democrats in the House and the Senate. and the White House
Yeah.
that they take their, and they're always going to claim a mandate. They may win by like 3%, and they're going to
Yeah.
claim a mandate of the masses. But the with the election coming up, and I don't want them to come out of the election and say, oh, we're going to pass Medicare for all because that that we got a mandate to do that, or we're going to pass restricting guns because of we've got this mandate because we won by 5 electoral votes. I mean, there's a very good chance that we could see a 270 to 268 election result.
And they would still claim mandate.
They claim a massive mandate from the
Right.
people. And then they're gonna probably win the popular vote either way. Either Harris wins or loses because they run up the numbers in New York and California.
Right.
But
and then of course the question becomes: will they run up the number of Supreme Court justices?
That'll be an interesting discussion.
Yep.
Going forward is, do we start packing the court?
Right.
AOC is Mac Halterman, who's local here in West Virginia, a great guy. Says her path to the governorship, so governor of New York. That would be, she plays well. She plays well in New York City. I'm not going to deny that, although I think not so much in some of the conservative Jewish areas.
Right. Right. That's right. That's
but the Western New York, I don't know if she's going to play well out there. That's the problem.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that you would see a very strong campaign to defeat her in the primary in New York.
Yeah.
By a more pro-Israel candidate. And that's an interesting thing about it too, is that we were talking a little bit about this recent hack, and people are talking. The FBI is now talking about Iranian influence in the election. We've talked about Russian influence in the election. All this stuff. It is a legitimate thing, though, because our politics, our country, impacts everybody else. Why wouldn't they? Why shouldn't they try to have a say in our election? I mean, you think about it. There's so much money that America just spins out, right? I mean, just crazy amounts that we just spin out. That all sorts of smaller countries. It makes sense. Iran thinks that if the United States were to, become non-interventionist, that they could dominate, Central Asia and the Middle East.
Yeah, they want to be the dominant hegemon in the Middle East.
Right.
Wrestle that away from really the Saudis, I guess you would say, this the dominant group there, or the Israelis too.
Right. Well, right. Exactly. I mean, Israel is the dominant militant power, but they're not the dominant cultural power.
Yeah, the Middle East, no.
Yeah, the dominant cultural power is essentially the Saudis, although, as I'm fond of saying, if you're not Sunni, you're Shiite.
Well, they're all Sunni there. Well, they're not all Sunni there, but they're the majority Sunni country in Saudi.
Right, but those are. I mean, that's sort of the battle that's coming along in that space.
Yeah, I don't blame countries, and people have talked about Russian influence in our elections for a long time. And while I do think that they have preferred candidates, I don't think they would mind to see Donald Trump return to the White House, because I think Putin's got a decent working relationship with him. Their actions with regards to us are not to overly influence our elections. It's more to sow seeds of doubt within our civic engagement.
I've been thinking more about my presidential campaign in 2028.
Nice.
We've already talked about the fact that I'm going to run with the Veto Everything platform.
Yeah.
But now, be a reporter and ask me what I think the greatest problem facing our country is.
If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
I don't know, but I'd get up and leave.
Nice. All right. What is the greatest problem facing the United States?
You know, a lot of people can tell you it's the deficit. Some people say foreign wars. Some people are going to say healthcare. The greatest problem that's facing the United States is us. We are so torn apart as a country right now. You know, I look back on the great words of Abraham Lincoln: "A house divided against itself cannot stand." And that's where we are. We can't stand for anything right now because the only thing we stand for is fighting against each other. So I'm running on the Veto Everything platform because I'm going to make America wear the Get Along shirt. You know, when two kids are fighting in the house, their parents get a big T-shirt and they put them in one arm out here, the other kid an arm out there, and they got to get along. If I veto everything, the only legislation that gets passed is legislation that 2/3 of America agrees upon.
I could
Because
just
that's going to make
see.
us live with each other.
I could just see Marjorie Taylor Greene and AOC in the Get Along shirt.
Exactly.
That would
That's
be
going
awesome.
to be that's going to be part of my campaign. Is I'm going to put people together, Photoshop it into the Get Along shirt, and say, yeah, you know, what do you think about this one? Should these people be forced? Because it is important. Chuck, if we take
Is the
back
LP
the
going to
party
be
in 2
around
years, I'll
in
run
4
LP.
years?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I don't know, but
I think the
you know,
financials
assuming,
just dropped again today. So
oh my God, I can't tell you how nauseating
snuff porn.
it is to see where the party is. And you know, first of all, there's all the bullshit about, you know, raising this money for Kennedy, which is just insane. But then,
States are signing up on it too. Florida, I think Michigan may have just did it. I don't know. Somebody with better knowledge of it can let me know. But we also have states. Heidi in Louisiana.
Alejandro,
Yeah, she's been a firecracker getting resolutions out to other states. I think about 8 states now signed up to say that they're not going to participate in the and condemn the Kennedy.
well, and so the interesting thing is that I guess Kennedy is on in 2 states as a libertarian, apparently Montana, and somebody said Colorado. Now I thought Colorado they had stopped that.
Yeah, Karen Aaron Hollis has stopped that. There's been questions about whether the LNC had stepped in to try and because that was part of the deal, was to put Kennedy on the ballot as a libertarian, which is absolutely just heinous. And you know, bear murder. Well, he didn't murder the bear, but what the hell was he thinking?
I mean,
with the bear story,
it's crazy. And I've seen a couple of
cocaine's a hell of a drug, I think.
I've seen a couple of interesting statements of like other things that he's going to spring on us, and just how crazy they're going to be.
Well, he's going to raise all this money, and the at least from what I hear, I haven't really read the agreement.
Yeah,
and you know that the LNC is going to spend money on his behalf.
Yeah, because he can't actually get the money.
Which we nominated a candidate. He's a great candidate. But you know, we put in a board LNC that is just a bunch of sycophants to this idea that, you know, they can reverse all of their draining financial losses by getting into bed with the Kennedy administration or the Kennedy campaign. I don't think it's going to be a financial benefit to the party at all.
Well, I think that it could. If they were to defraud the Kennedy administration and not spend any of that money, just keep it all for themselves, sure.
Win. I mean, they could. Yep. But I don't trust Angela McArdle to not just siphon that money and put it into her bank account as, you know, payment for being an executive director or payment to baby daddy or fundraising.
Exactly. No, that's exactly right. That's exactly what they're going to do.
And I think, you know, libertarians watching the show tonight, I think once we get to November, I would not be surprised to see McArdle resigning and other board members resigning, because at that point, money raised for the Libertarian Party is going to slow way down. It always slows way down.
Exactly.
After an election, like people are just tapped out, and they're going to have to build up reserves for another couple of years. So the cash cow, as such as it is with the Libertarian Party, is no longer going to be there, and there's no financial incentive for them to stick around.
Yeah.
So I do think that once we get to November, we'll see the more nefarious people, the McCardles, the Heiss, the
Yep.
baby daddy, taking their leave, and
Right. They will have milked everything, every last penny out, and they
yeah,
don't want to be around to be legally responsible for the shit.
yeah.
Now,
Once
what's funny
because
about that?
the FEC shoes will start to drop after that.
Well,
If they drop, I don't know that the FEC even really gives half a shit about the Libertarian Party.
I mean, they did shut down the Reform Party, right? Now, the Reform Party was much more successful than we were, but who knows? I think that fundamentally, it's so crappy at this point in time
Yeah,
that it's almost, I don't know. I mean, I rarely wish for people to go to jail, but in this case, I think that what the people did is criminal and they should go to jail.
it's fraud. It's fraud. Yeah, they fraudulently misrepresented themselves as libertarians to.
Yeah.
That is a Diet Mountain Dew. I am not a racist. I'll just say that right now. I'm a dumbass. I'll grant you that. So, but I did not have relations with that couch.
Nice.
I just slept on it. Damn it.
So then, I guess the very last thing about that is the Kennedy campaign doesn't actually need money, right?
No,
Because what's her name has got
she's a billionaire.
Yeah, and last election, the Trump campaign in total only spent $400 million. The whole campaign. So, I mean, she's got that. She's got that lying around.
Well, you think they would have spent that money on getting on the ballot in these states and not relying on the Libertarian Party?
Well,
Like, yeah, you're going to save money, but
no, but I think they're on everywhere. They got 50 state ballot access. They are. I'll go to this website and I'll send you the link. They're really close.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were going to definitely focus on the battleground states. I thought there was move for Pennsylvania to not have Chase and put RFK on there.
I'm going to send you this link and you can pop it up on your screen so we can all see it.
Now, I remember in 2020, Kanye saying that he had ballot access everywhere, and he did not. But
right.
Let me hide the chat and bring this up.
So I'll go ahead and start reading it. Right now, Kennedy has, and granted, this is their own reporting. Massachusetts hasn't announced who has it, but they're on the ballot in every state except for 5: Wyoming, Arizona, Mississippi, Kentucky, and Rhode Island. Now, Rhode Island is the last, and I know this from having done it for Libertarians. I think it's an August.
The last turn-in?
Yeah, it's an August 31st to turn in. And it's funny because the Libertarians are still not on in Rhode Island. And
I saw a post from Steve Dossbach. They haven't even sent paid petitioners there yet because it's a later turn-in. But you'd think that they need to get, because I know that like
it's a later
some of those Northeast states are 8,000.
You only need 1,000. However, I can tell you that in the past, Massachusetts has always bailed out Rhode Island because Rhode Island, the people who are there, and we can take this map down now that we've seen it.
Yeah.
The Rhode Island team is run by a person who likes to talk but doesn't do any work, Pat Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And in case of point, in 2016 and in 2020, Pat lied to the LNC about the state of ballot access. And it was only until somebody went down there and actually counted the petitions they had. And they're like, you're fucked. You're not even close. He's like, oh, I'll get him. I'll get him in the last week. You're like, no. And
Don't
so
wait till the last damn week.
Massachusetts had to come in and bail him out both times. That is not going to happen this time because Massachusetts feels betrayed by Rhode Island. And if the campaign were running the ballot access, if the Oliver campaign were running the ballot access, I got another question after this. In fact, I got homework assignment for Dr. Moulton. If the Oliver campaign were running the ballot access in Rhode Island, I think that Massachusetts would help out. There's an army of 10 volunteers in Massachusetts who know how to petition, who know how to get things done. You can just drive over there and do it. But because Pat Ford is running the ballot access in Rhode Island, they're not going to lift a finger to help him.
No.
Here's my other interesting election question. Did the Oliver campaign pay off Mike Termott's $150,000 debt to himself? People who were following the finances along the way know that Mike took out a second mortgage on his house to give his campaign $150,000, which he used to pay for staff and travel and stuff like that.
I don't know.
Did the Chase Oliver team pay that off? I don't know.
Have they raised? I mean, I know that they're raising money. Do they have the money in the budget to do that?
It's a good question. I don't know.
I don't know. Mike is traveling. He just came to West Virginia this last week.
He just was up in Boston, which is probably a waste of time. But what is interesting about it is, I mean, I know the money is not there for the campaign. My understanding is that the campaign has raised about $380,000 to $400,000 so far, which is about 1/10 of what the Jorgensen campaign had.
Yeah. And I went on Real Clear Politics. It's kind of a nice aggregate site for polling.
Yeah.
It's hit and miss on polling for Chase. They actually have a 5-candidate polling average. And the other 3 candidates are Cornel West, Robert Kennedy Jr., and Jill Stein. Just another testament to how far the LP has fallen, and right. How counterproductive the LNC has been to the plight of the Oliver campaign. Again, Chase is a phenomenal candidate. The Libertarian Party does not deserve Chase Oliver and the work that he's done. In fact, I'm getting him on the radio locally here in a week and a half, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, it's just I don't know what becomes of the Libertarian Party after this election cycle. Like it's hard for me to see how this carries on. I think there are lifers that are going to continue to uphold the mantle. And I know that we've had controversies in the past, the Bob Bars, the after
$5,000
Paul campaign
in West Virginia.
Did you know that? Well, did they say 5,000?
No, sorry, $2,500.
It's gone up.
Payable June 4th.
They've already paid. They're already on the ballot here, so they paid it.
Right. No, it's June 24th, but I'm looking at the expenses of the campaign, which I mean everybody should do. I don't mean this in a hostile manner at all, but it's
George Philly's
really interesting to look at. I will. We can pop that up if you want.
I didn't realize because the filing fee in 2020 for Jorgensen was $1,500, so it's gone up.
Yeah.
But it's like 1% of the annual salary of the office, so that makes sense.
Right. And so you can click on the amount to sort, and these are the expenses from.
So merge.
And then just click on amount at the right-hand side. So scroll up. Click on amount to sort by amount. There you go. So go down to
Petitioning.
2,500 and you'll see West Virginia filing fee.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. We should put that in the chat. Yeah. So I don't see a payoff to Mike's campaign. So that's good. And it doesn't look like. I mean, it looks like at the end of June they had $195,000. So they certainly don't have enough to pay off $150,000 that Termont needs. But other than that, I think they're spending money very wisely.
Yeah.
They're
doing what they can. They're getting
Yeah.
absolutely zero support from the Libertarian National, the party itself.
Yeah.
And again, it's not so much that the party should be working hand in hand with the campaign, but they shouldn't be an obstacle to the campaign by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they
shouldn't be actively working with other campaigns.
Did you see the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire quote?
About using the F word.
Yep, using the F word. It said, "I don't want to." Said
it's like people don't have problems with Chase because he's gay, but they have
a problem because he's F word.
F word. Yeah.
It's crazy.
They're continuing to be pieces of shit, and
and the campaign shouldn't have to fight against that, but they do.
Yeah.
So.
New Hampshire continues to be a cancer on the Libertarian Party that really is just racked with cancer right now. So,
yeah,
one of the many things killing it. All right, you ready for the quiz?
I'm ready, baby. Let's bring it on.
Let's do this. Where did I put it? There it is. We had that chat. Remember, you can answer questions, post them in the chat, and we'll share them as we do this. So we've got looks like a search of some sort. We got flooding.
Debbie does DC.
And then
it looks like a giant pigeon.
And that is the House of Representatives and the Lawgivers. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's check this out. Easy one to start off. Question number one: who did Vice President Kamala Harris name as her 2024 running mate?
Let's see if you can pronounce it right.
Kamala Harris, or the name?
The running mate.
The running mate.
Yes.
Is it Waltz or Walls?
It's Walls.
Walls.
Yeah.
My sugar walls.
Like the kind that he wants to build on the border with Mexico.
Will Mexico give a campaign contribution to the Harris Walls campaign? No. They'll pay for the walls.
No, because according to Donald Trump, they have no money.
Yes, Harris got Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota as her running mate. Former teacher, Army National Guard, a veteran, and to join the ticket. All right, question number two. A robust tropical storm is dumping catastrophic rainfall across the southeast U.S. this week. What is its name?
It's Debbie.
Yeah, Debbie was spelled weird.
Well, with a Y, it's not that weird. I mean,
not that weird, but it's IE's more common spelling.
Yeah.
Ken gets the question. Very nice. Millions are under storm alerts this week. This has already passed. We actually had a tornado warning on Wednesday night.
Dude, we had a tornado watch. That a tornado was spotted on radar.
That's a warning. The warning is the worst. Okay. Watch is the lesser, which doesn't make sense to me. To me, I'm watching a tornado, so it should be a tornado.
Right, I agree. All right, whatever it was. Yeah, so we had that too. So tornado went down the Potomac, right by my house.
I wish Little Debbie would come and drop all kinds of. Little Debbie likes cream pies. I will say that.
Yeah.
Question number 3: which Olympic gymnast won the gold medal in the women's final floor exercise event? Simone Biles, Rebecca Andrade, Jordan Childs, or Suni Lee? Yeah, he's got it. Ken got it.
Yeah. Well,
Rebecca Andrade.
Right.
Yeah, she won.
If it weren't for
women's
that,
gymnastics.
if Simone Biles had been a little more careful, the U.S. would have had more gold medals than China.
China. Yeah. Then of course, Jordan Childs losing hers because the 4 second.
The 4 second rule.
4 seconds off of a 1 minute. Again, that just makes no sense to me. I get you want to have a time limit on making challenges.
But I mean, you have, first of all, you have to do math. And then secondly, you have to, what's going to happen now is everybody's going to make an appeal right in the very beginning. Say, okay, I'm launching my appeal.
Yeah.
What's your appeal? I don't know that yet, but I want to make sure that I launch it within the time frame.
Yep, exactly. Question number 4: how many NASA astronauts on the International Space Station are waiting to come home due to severe issues plaguing Boeing's Starliner spacecraft? 2, 4, 6, or 8?
I don't know.
Ken's got it again. Yeah, so they were supposed to come back after like 6 days up in space. And they've been pushed back. They're now like a month and a half into this. And there's talk that they won't come back until into 2025, that they're going to be rolled up into a second mission that's coming up in September. I think another supply mission with new astronauts are coming. They're pulling 2 of the astronauts that were supposed to come off of that, and they're going to have the 2 the Boeing strandees sitting there and serving in this mission. So, but yeah, 2. There we go. Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, 2 veteran NASA astronauts piloting the first crewed test flight of Boeing's Starliner spacecraft. Yeah, more than 60 days, so 2 months, over 2 months, which is crazy. Question number 5: which type of common product was banned by the EPA this week? Fertilizer, detergent, paint, or weed killer? This one I have no idea on.
I don't know either.
Ken, we all did. James, we all had a crush on Mary Lou Retton.
I might have been older.
Dan got to hang out with her.
I might have been older than 14. Yeah, we went to UT Austin together. But boy, I don't know. I'm gonna guess. Oh, all right. James says hairspray.
But hairspray is not an option.
We should still pick it.
I don't see anything from the context clues that
gives
me any hope here.
Let's go. Let's say fertilizer. No, that's not common. That's not common enough. Let's say
detergent.
I agree.
Or weed killer paint.
Yeah.
Let's do detergent.
Yeah.
Oh,
damn it!
Weed killer.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting and pretty bad, apparently. I don't use weed killer. I don't know anybody who does, but
I've got a weed killer, but it's a safe weed killer at home. But
I considered using Roundup for a little while, but it's just not worth it. It's just not worth the risk.
Yeah. Question number 6: which musical superstar canceled 3 concerts this week after authorities discovered an alleged terror plot to attack the venues? The most famous. Adele, Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift, or Janet Jackson. I don't think they would have canceled for. I don't think it would have canceled for Janet Jackson, but
Right. Exactly. It's Tay-Tay.
It is Tay-Tay. 3 Taylor Swift concerts in Austria were canceled after authorities said that they foiled a terror attack. They arrested, and they're all young, like young dudes.
Yeah.
Um, the incel clown posse.
Is that what it was, or was it Islamic State stuff?
I mean, it's a lot of Islamic State terrorists, but they're incels too. So
That's true.
all right, question number 7. Which company lost a massive antitrust lawsuit this week? Amazon, Google, Meta, or Microsoft?
It's Google.
Yeah, they lost a monopoly lawsuit.
Monopoly on search. It's first of all, it's dumb because guarantee you search is going to be completely different in a year. AI is going to own search. And then, it's just going to be, but search is also a complete meritocracy, right? I have tried using DuckDuckGo, which is a nice search engine for people who want to be completely anonymous, but it's not as good as Google. It's just not. I've tried using Bing search. Bing search is terrible. In many ways, it frequently tells me the opposite of what I'm searching for. So I don't know. It's a dumb court ruling, and it's going to be appealed. It's going to be fought more. So the implementation of it's going to be incredibly difficult to understand too. This one, if you're talking about a stupid state law, that's all I need to know. Louisiana.
Yeah, well, that actually. So I know Louisiana has done it, but I think it was this week that another state has done it. State passed a law requiring public schools to display a poster of the Ten Commandments. I'm thinking it's Nebraska, or not Nebraska, but Alabama State. And Janice agrees with me. I'll feel bad if it's Louisiana, but that was like several weeks ago.
Okay, let's go with your choice.
Oh, why are they just talking about this now?
Because beforehand it was in the House.
I thought they had already passed it.
I don't know. Oh, I guess it says this week officials in the state considered possible poster designs. Let's click on those. Let's see one of them. It will have opened up in a new tab. You can show us after.
So yeah, because I know a lot of people were saying, okay, well, we'll just post it in the original Hebrew or original Aramaic text.
Right.
So it's there, but nobody reads it.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess they're going to get forced a choice of displays from on high.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that in the original Hebrew. Having this conversation about the Dead Sea Scrolls, which, are old copies of Hebrew, of Jewish religious texts. And the one thing that is really interesting about it is that, by and large, every citizen of Israel can read them in their actual text. The language hasn't changed. I think that's a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Question number 9. Which streaming service announced a new round of price hikes this week? Disney Plus, Netflix, Peacock, or Apple TV Plus?
This I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't think it's Netflix because I think they just did that.
Yeah, I'm thinking probably.
I'm going to guess Disney, but I don't know. James thinks it's Netflix, but I don't think it's Netflix.
Yeah, I don't think it's Netflix.
Netflix did this like 6 months ago.
And eventually they're going to price themselves out of the market. Like
right.
There's just...
this picture. Well, I mean, here's part of the problem, right? At what point in time does the market make it worthwhile for people to download something illegally, which you still can do
Yeah.
very easily?
Power Baseball out there.
So I don't know.
All right, let's do Disney Plus.
All right, Disney sounds good to me.
Correct.
Yeah, nice job.
Across the board for Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. That's right. I did see the ESPN Plus is going up.
Right.
But for me, I watch so much college football, and it's absolutely worth it for the ESPN.
Well, but so here's the interesting thing about it, Dave. You have a bunch of sports. You have a bunch of sports friends. You guys should be sharing your ESPN Plus subscription. My brother and I share one, and as it turns out, when two people share it, it costs half as much for each of you.
It's true.
It's just math.
Just math until they do the tracking software and knock you both out. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so all that's going up. I think ESPN Plus for an annual subscription it's not bad still. It's like $119, I think, is what they're going up to. Still not like charging what Sunday Ticket charges you for football.
Which I will say, so I'm doing my Sunday Ticket thing again. So I tried to sign up with YouTube for Sunday Ticket and to watch the Giants game, which was Thursday night, I think.
Yeah.
And it wasn't there because they don't have all the preseason games on Sunday Ticket. And they don't actually have all the games either because they don't work around
They can still be
blackouts.
blacked out. Yeah,
Exactly.
They can still be blacked out.
So I have for years now, I've used ExpressVPN and something called Game Pass. So sign up for ExpressVPN. I'll put a link in the Facebook, a referral thing, so that you can get a month for free. And then use that to sign up for ESPN Game Pass. Set your location to be in England or Germany, whichever one you want. You could do Switzerland if you wanted to, but actually you could do Mexico too. There's an exchange rate benefit to doing it in Mexico, but I've done it in England for so long. So it was, it's 2,700 pesos, but it was 130 pounds sterling. And the exchange rate right now is, I don't remember what it is. It's like $1.29, something like that. And then it ended up being $140 for the year. Yeah, not bad. Well, and then $100 for the VPN. So it makes it $240 total. But for that, I get Red Zone. I get NFL Channel, which I already had. But
that's the thing with Red Zone, though. I've gotten so used to watching Red Zone every week that it's hard for me to sit through a full NFL game. Like I can watch a college game. I love watching college football. But when it comes to an NFL game, to me, it's like way hyped. And of course, my team sucks. So, I call Red Zone short attention span football. And it's great because, I'm just flipping. It's like having a, remote control going all the time for these games. But I really enjoy Red Zone. That's probably one of the best inventions for football.
No, I love Red Zone as well.
Yeah. All right. Question number 10. And speaking of my team sucking, why did they choose to send the Giants and the Panthers over to Europe? Like, we defeated them in World War II. Let's not continue to stick it to them. Let's show them some good teams. All right. Question number 10. Which massive animal sculpture will be unveiled in New York City this fall? We saw that as part of the context. Raccoon, rat, pigeon, or groundhog?
I don't know, but if it's New York, we saw the context.
Yeah,
it's a pigeon.
It's the pigeon.
Yep.
Although I'm a fan of both raccoons and groundhogs. Like I want one.
I mean raccoons. So first of all, I would say if you want a raccoon, there's an excellent book called Sterling that I would recommend about a raccoon named Sterling. But raccoons are predators. I mean, as nice as they are.
Oh yeah.
And I killed 5 of my chickens this year.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I know a lot of people don't like groundhogs here because they can undermine your house and because they like to burrow under structures. So a lot of times you'll find them under sheds and things like that. But I love they're so cute to me. Like I know I'm going to the way I leave this earth is probably going to be because I wanted to pick up an animal, and the animal was not happy to be picked up. So whether that is a raccoon or a groundhog or a porcupine or a red panda, one of those things, Pallas cat, any one of those, they will take me out, and I'll be okay with that. All right, yeah, 16-foot tall pigeon will loom over Manhattan's High Line later this year. So
It's interesting. I've
I mean,
been following.
like when you think of pigeons, you're going to think of New York City. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. There's a great great Animaniacs cartoon called Good Feathers.
yeah,
And they have
you cool, my bird.
exactly. And there's a they do a song number where they go, "I want to sit on Scorsese's head. I want to sit on Scorsese's head." And there's a big statue of Scorsese, and they poop on it. Yeah, I
not rattlesnakes. I don't want to handle. I almost stepped on a rattlesnake one time. I was there was a place in Albuquerque at the foothills of Sandia Mountain. We called it Copper Top. It's essentially the end of Copper Road or Copper Avenue. I can't remember in Albuquerque, and you'd go up there to get drunk. Like that was like the teenage place to hide out and have parties. And we were walking up there, and I even heard the rattle. And all of a sudden, my friend grabs my shirt, pulls me back, and he just like points down at the rattlesnake rattling and coiled up. And I'm like, oh, maybe we shouldn't get drunk here. So that was the last time we went and got drunk at Copper Top.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got 8 out of 10 this week. Not bad. Not great.
Not bad.
Yeah.
It's an off week for us. If we'd had AJ, we would have gotten all 10.
Yeah, we would have gotten them all. So
next week, that's something.
Next week, yeah. So we do need to do pick a country for our next country review.
Let's do Lesotho.
Oh, another state that is we've done San Marino, we've done Vatican City.
Right.
Another state is completely within the boundaries of another country.
Yep.
So
and it doesn't have a lot of history. So
the Kingdom of Lesotho. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Okay, I'll get that rolling. We'll have that for next week.
Guys, thanks everybody who tuned in. Like,
James,
click,
Janice,
subscribe,
Ken.
share. All those things, guys. Whereas we get closer to the election, we're getting a better following, and you guys are the ones who are making it happen. So please help us out. Keep those numbers good, and that's all I got.
Thanks,
Say goodnight,
thanks
Gracie.
to everybody that watching on X and Facebook and Twitch and YouTube. Really appreciate everybody. Just give us a like, share, subscribe wherever you're at. And thanks to all of our commenters, Ken, James, Janice, Drew was on, Dr. Moulton. We've had a great group tonight. Craig was on. I appreciate everybody joining us tonight, and we will join you all next week on the Political Deep Dive. Good night, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.